Okay, welcome. We are going to finish up Chapter 3, Lesson 2 for our Science of Flight. We have been talking about flight in the human body, protective equipment, and air crew training. And we've actually gone over this last part a little bit. And I want to be able to emphasize a couple things to you. First of all, we're on page 254. What is an altitude chamber?
It is a sealed room that reproduces a high altitude environment.
Exactly. It is very small, like a big closet, but it is insulated and can withstand pressure. And so what happens is you actually sit down in it, and there's a picture there at the top of page 254 that shows a person in a control panel outside of it. Let me see if I can bring it up. And basically, you go in as a pilot with your flight mask, just like we had on last week, and you sit there as a pilot and suck in oxygen and pretend like you're at altitude, and they decompress the decompress the altitude chamber. Decompress the altitude chamber so it's just like you're at 20 or 30,000 feet. And then with that, the people actually inside the chamber undergo hypoxia. What does that mean?
Swim, breathe. There isn't.
Your time of usual consciousness.
That's true, but what is hypoxia?
Not getting oxygen.
No oxygen. Exactly. You can't suck in amount of oxygen because you're 20, 30,000 feet, and you do have a time of useful consciousness. Do you remember one of the first lessons we had here? I talked about my time in the altitude chamber where you're trying to write your name, you forget your name, and you kind of get spaced out, and your fingers are turn blue because your lack of oxygen. And what happens then, the way to overcome, if you need oxygen, how do you overcome hypoxia?
Press the button.
You press the button?
Put the mask on.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, actually you push the mask on, and depending on the plane, you sort of push the buttons and 100% oxygen comes out, and just breathing 100% oxygen makes you come back. That's exactly what people do when they climb these tall mountains. Okay, and then on page 255, we actually talked about the centrifugal effect, and we simulated a barony chair in a previous session. And I thought it was so successful that guess what? We're going to do it again. All right, everybody stand up. Stand up. Okay? Okay? You're going to close your eyes. Close your eyes. And we're going to spin around, with 6 times? Close your eyes and spinning around. Go ahead and turn. Start spinning around.
I don't want to
And after about 6 times, I'm going to tell you to move your head forward, like you're bending over and tying your shoes. Close your eyes. Your eyes need to be closed. And you're spinning around in this chair. And now you're spinning around so much you think spinning is absolutely normal. This is the normal thing to spin. Okay, you're spinning. All right, move your head down now. Whoa. You got to move your whole body, your head down. All right, sit down, sit down, sit down. Did anybody feel disoriented?
Yes.
Gee, you know what? A lot of these, one time I did this with my Science of Flight class. I can't remember which one it was, but, gee, sir, that was almost as fun as sniffing glue this weekend. I go, that's fabulous. I had too much information. But here is the picture there on bottom of 256. You can see it's sort of like the same thing. He's in a chair that he turns around and around. Believe it or not, when you're flying and you do not see any kind of reference to the ground, if you do not see the terrain, because you're flying in clouds, or if you close your eyes, you can move your head left and right. You can't see which way is up or down. Your body will eventually think that whatever attitude you're in is level. Because the hairs inside your inner ears, we talked about earlier, your cilia will align and think that's normal. So if you close your eyes and you tilt your head, everybody close your eyes, tilt your head about 30 degrees, just a little bit, but just stay just like that. And if you stay like that for 2 or 3 minutes, your body will think that that is level. And you'll be convinced that, even though you're in a bank, you're as level. And so think about it. You're in a plane, you're accidentally in a bank, but then if you come to level, you actually think you're banked. Or if you have to turn farther right, okay. So then you can imagine if you're disoriented, you can feel like you're upside down when you're really not. And that is kind of a bad situation. I have been completely disoriented in flying. Okay, y'all don't go to sleep on me. I have been completely disoriented in flying. One time, very memorable for me, in England, I was flying with a wingman, and I was the instructor, so I was flying behind the guy. Okay, so I was flying behind the guy, but it was up in the clouds, and it was like thin clouds. But I could not see horizon, I could not see the sky or the ground. And all of a sudden, I started to move my plane down a little bit. I messed up. And all of a sudden, he looked like he was climbing. Right? If I'm here, and there's nothing, it was white everywhere, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, he's climbing. And I go, why is he climbing? And he was a new guy, and I thought he was screwing up, because, I'm the instructor, I couldn't possibly screw up. And so, all of a sudden, I started to tell my back seat, I go, why is he climbing? He goes, we're 27,000 feet. And then all of a sudden, I was sure we were doing a huge big roll like this. Because I was down, and when you do these aileron rolls, when you do big aerodynamics, your plane varies on where the other person is. And I thought we were going to do a roll. And I could even feel myself completely upside downwards. And we did a whole roll like that. What happens to your body, we talked about physiologically, what happens to your body when you're under stress?
You lock up.
You lock up, yeah. Your ears pretty much turn off. But what happens physiologically to your body?
Sweat.
You sweat, exactly. I started sweating, and my breathing went, and my back seat goes, hey, Pete, what's the matter, man? And I go, we're upside downwards, aren't we? And he goes, let me check. No, straight and level, 27,000. And I knew I was upside downwards. And we came back around mentally. And then the second roll is what really got me. Okay? And then so what happened was I knew I was separated from him, and if he was straight and level, I knew it must have been me. So of course I pushed up the power to catch up with him. Well, then the second roll I perceived us is going straight down and crashing into the ground. And I was upside downwards. In my mind, physically, I was straight and level, just like we're sitting right here. But I started to get really stressed. My pits, I remember I was going, why am I sweating? It's hot in here, man. You turn on the air conditioning. All of a sudden, I was upside downwards, and I felt like I was crashing. And I had the presence of mind to look over at my left elbow, and I always kept my map, my emergency book. Because this is before everything was digital, right? But I had a map over there, and I go, if I was upside downwards, where would that map be?
On the roof.
It would be on the canopy, it would be up there. And I go, wow, I must not be upside downwards because that map is sitting right there. And it was crazy. And then that one thing rekeyed my brain. I could not look at the instruments and believe them because they were wrong. I'm sure they were wrong. Okay? But that map, I knew gravity only works one way. Okay? And so it was crazy. And that was really, really crazy. But by then, I'd sort of rejoined up on him. And I trusted him. And then I started, okay, well, you know what? Maybe those instruments are right. And it was an amazing experience. Okay, the next one I want to show you here is the Vomit Comet. Yeah, this is a good one on page.
Is there a roller coaster?
It is a roller coaster. No, it's not a roller coaster. It is a very special thing with the NASA, where they actually have a special plane that does a up and down motion. And I tell you what, I'm going to go through a little bit of preview here. Look on the bottom of page 257. And you can see how on 257 you actually do a lot of up and down there. The plane goes, what? At 24,000 feet, 350 knots, it goes up. It goes up to 32,000 feet and then pushes over. And when it pushes over, you hit 0G. So if you're an astronaut, your body is experiencing 0 Gs and you're getting used to it. Why do they call it the vomit comet?
Because you're going to vomit.
Your body was not meant to be at 0 G. For how many millions of years we've been evolving to be at 1 G, and all of a sudden your stomach, which has food in it, doesn't have food anymore. It's floating around, just like anything else. And so there is a lot of people that throw up on this thing. All right, so here's a nice picture. I don't think this is a picture of people throwing up, but it's cool. I mean, if I had, I don't know how much this costs, $10,000 for a ride. If I had the money, I think it'd be fun to go out here and do it. But
Oh wait, that's like a...
This research
Look at
aircraft is the ultimate roller coaster
is that
ride,
cool?
peaking at 34,000 feet over the Gulf of Mexico. The plane follows a parabolic flight path to produce weightlessness. A typical flight consists of about 32 arcs.
Wow.
As the plane climbs towards the top of the parabola, passengers feel the force of nearly 2 Gs, or twice their body weight. Once the plane starts to go over the top of the invisible arc and begins descending back toward Earth, flyers free fall, experiencing nearly 25 seconds of zero gravity. The passengers, and any objects not nailed down, are weightless.
You're floating there in the middle of the aircraft, and your mind's kind of going all over the place saying, this isn't right, and you're just trying to, I guess, get your bearings all the time.
The plane is more commonly known as the vomit comet because of its reputation to wreak havoc on the human stomach. Each year, collegiate teams from all over the country submit proposals to NASA to be part of its Reduced Gravity Student Flight Opportunities Program. The space agency selects the top proposals. Greg Sharp, Christopher Ubelacker, Jarrett Whetstone, and James Craven represent RIT.
Blew my mind when I first heard that we were gonna be accepted into the project. So I'm like, it's a lot of work, but it's completely worth it.
In July of 2008, RIT's team heads to Johnson Space Center for a week, which culminates in a climactic 90-minute flight to test an experiment in zero gravity. The RIT team's experiment looks at the feasibility of inkjet printing in a weightless environment.
We were testing the ability for inkjet printers, both piezoelectric and thermal print heads, to function in microgravity.
RIT is in great company with other big-name schools invited to participate, including Texas A&M, University of Kansas, University of Arizona,
Yay.
University of Florida, and University of Texas. Design engineers review.
Looks like a lot of fun. What would be a problem if you're in a weightless environment and you throw up?
And throw up is weightless also.
What is a normal weightless water look like?
It's just going to float around.
Balls. So what would weightless vomit look like?
Ball?
Maybe orange balls, right? How much fun would that be? And what do you do when you're on the space station and you got to go to the bathroom? How does that work?
You have a built-in thing in your suit.
You got a what?
I thought it was like a built-in toilet in your suit.
No, you get a pouch.
In the space station, it is open air. It's like this. You're not in a space suit. You're dressed in t-shirts and shorts. How do you go to the bathroom?
They have
They have what? Plastic bag, but
pressurized rooms.
pressurized rooms? You can have pressurized rooms, but we're talking gravity.
Upside down.
You have suction devices. To go to the bathroom in space, everything is sucked. And it has to fit your body perfectly. So you're fitted with suction devices. You don't want any leaks, right? That would be bad. That'd be bad for the morale. To have to have your leaky refuse flattened all everywhere. So that's kind of a bad. All right. Let's last couple minutes here go over lesson 2 and important stuff that will be on the test. Why don't we start at the beginning of lesson 2? How ending on a high note, right, of gravity and weightless disposal. 2H241. And why don't we just flip with me here? I guess I should display this, maybe. All right, 241. You need to know what bleed air is. Yes, sir. Okay. And we need to know what differential pressure is. We need to know what rapid decompression and explosive decompression is. What's the difference there in rapid decompression and explosive decompression? What does an oxygen mask do for you? They give you oxygen. Let's see, partial pressure suits. We need to know about partial pressure suits down there. Above what altitude do you need to have oxygen? That's a great question. 18,000 or flight level 180, right? What is a parachute? How does a parachute help you? Slows you down and saves your life. Just like yesterday, right? I'm telling you, remember yesterday in the ejection seat, I said if a pilot makes the decision to eject, generally they live. I mean, they generally do. The guy yesterday was being shot at, he was being shot down, and he goes, I'm out of here. And guess what? He and his Wizzo lived. That's pretty impressive in war. And oh, by the way, he didn't have injuries like Senator McCain and some of these. He was the least injured of any POW I'd ever heard of. We talked about ejection seats. We talked about wind blasts. Let's see, we've talked about a flight simulator, the fact that we have simulators that are very sophisticated, and even back there at the bottom of page 253, they look just like a normal plane. You realize a lot of time an airline transport pilot, when they land a plane, is the first time they've ever landed the plane. When they land a plane with passengers in the plane, many, many times, that's the first time they've ever landed a plane. Everything else is simulators because it's so sophisticated. Why would I pay $50,000 for you to practice touching landings when I'm having paid customers? So really, these pilots are good, and the simulators are fantastic. You don't hear people crashing on landings all the time just because it's Andrew's first landing. They're good. The simulators are just as good as the planes. It's amazing. We talked today about an altitude chamber, how it simulates high altitude decompressions. You do not, Barony chair, you don't need to have it a Barony chair, but you need to know about spatial disorientation, centrifugal effect. We probably need to know about the vomit comet and what that does for you. And of course, we even talked about the centrifuge. We had a picture of the centrifuge about having artificial gravity and loss of consciousness. All righty, any questions about lesson 2? I hope today, yes sir.
Is there ejection seats in like B-52 bomber?
They do have ejection seats. Some of them go up and some of them go down because it was designed to be at a high altitude. You know what? Right this second, they may have changed all that stuff around because these B-52 bombers have been around for 50 years. I think some of them go down. Isn't that crazy? But if you're 50,000 feet, who cares if the ejection seat goes down? If you're taking off, that is a bummer. Okay? That is not a good deal. That is a bummer. Make sure you're one that goes up. All righty.